Hey guys, so I decided to upload a video for you today, and this is going to be on spiderlings at Petco. Recently in my area I noticed that the store started carrying a few spiderlings, and I decided to do some research on what was going on with this and found out that people had questions, but not a lot of people had answers, so I decided to upload this video for you. When I talked to the employees, I found out that in our area at least, and it sounds like a few others, they're doing kind of the trial runs with these spiderlings to see how they do. Basically what they've got going on is they all come in these, looks like repurposed spice jars with either a red tag or a green tag. The red tag are desert species, and the green tags are supposed tropical species. On the backs, which I think is super inconvenient because they don't have the backs shown on the display, so you can't see what kind of species they have unless they pull them out for you. It has checked the supposed type of tarantula. Here, this one is marked the Brachypelma vagans, or the Mexican red rump. So we'll see if that's what it actually ends up once it starts to grow. At the stores that I was looking at in my area that were carrying them, they had two of these Brachypelma vagans. They had an Oklahoma brown, and then they had a handful of the Nandrochromatus, or the Brazilian red and white. They all were tagged at a sticker price of $19.99, which I think could probably be a deal in some senses and can be a ripoff in other senses. Since not all tarantulas are usually priced the same, but for some reason they are pricing them the same, just I think for convenience sake for them. This is about a ½ inch Brachypelma vagans. You can see the tiny little guy back there. For $19.99, that's probably an alright price, maybe a little on the steep side. But for some of the others, because they do have some that are small as a ½ inch or just super teeny tiny, I think $19.99 is pretty expensive for some of those. So just kind of my thoughts on their setup here. I think that they probably don't know what they're doing with these. I really don't like what they have these things set up in. These jars are way too big for such a small little spiderling, you see back there in the corner. And way too tall. This would be the perfect enclosure, I think, for a larger arboreal species tarantula, but not for these tiny little slings. Just kind of what they've got going on is they're vented at the top of the mesh, which I think is probably a bad idea to have the vents at the top. I think it's a lot better, and it's the general consensus that you need to have the vents on the side. As well as there's no substrate in here, it's just kind of a little foam sponge at the bottom, which I don't like either. And then I think they just throw those 2 silk leaves in there, which are huge for, I guess they could provide some sort of shelter to the spider if it climbs up and tries to hide in them, but I think that's just kind of more of a, to get people more drawn over and make the cage look more interesting. So I will be switching this thing out shortly to a more suitable cage. I will be keeping it in this little deli cup container until it starts to grow up a little bit. This is a just vermiculite mixed with cocoa fiber. I think it'll help keep the moisture in there for them. You need to keep them kind of humid, and it'll be a lot easier to feed the little guy in there and keep track of the food. In here, it's going to be really hard to get the food in and out. It looks like they've just been throwing crickets in there, which that cricket back there is bigger probably than the spiderling. I don't know if they threw it in there dead or what, but makes me nervous as well. I'm probably going to be feeding it little wingless fruit flies for starters, and little pinhead crickets. So I'm going to try and get him over into this little jar for you guys, and then show you kind of my setup, and then wrap this up. Okay, so as you can see here, I've got the little guy in its little enclosure. It's kind of wandering around exploring. Hopefully it doesn't climb up the side. I'll have to put the lid on. But I think this will be a much better enclosure for this little spiderling. It's pretty small spiderling. That other enclosure is way too big. I think the substrate's going to be a lot better of an option for it, and I'm going to put it in my microclimate, and hopefully it'll do well with some of my other slings that I've got. Looks like it got spooked a little bit. As you can see, I've got some holes drilled on the side of the deli cup to give it some cross ventilation, and the lid has no holes in it. Hopefully that'll keep some of the humidity and heat trapped in there. Even though it's a desert species, it's going to need humidity as a sling to help it grow. So as far as my final thoughts on tarantulas or slings at Petco, don't really know how I feel about what they're doing. I think the way they're keeping them there is pretty inadequate, and I know that by buying them there, you're encouraging them to keep bringing them in. So I know it's kind of ironic that I'm kind of speaking out against that, and I just got one. But if it's your only option in your area, this is the only option in my area to get tarantulas or spiderlings. Then it is an option, but I think you'd be better served by picking up something online from a breeder. It is hard that you can't actually look at them from a breeder online, but there is a lot of reputable breeders online that have a lot of great options and great pricing. Shipping can be a little bit of a problem, but it's just kind of my thoughts on the Petco tarantulas or spiderlings. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll see if I can answer them for you. Hopefully this was helpful to any of you who are wondering about these. Anyway, have a good day.